What could you accomplish if you dedicated just 1 hour a day to your dreams, your goals, your growth? What would your life look like if you made consistent, intentional progress every single day? Most people let time slip by without realizing its true value. But the truth is, 1 hour a day can completely transform your life. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about being intentional with that 1 hour, making sure that every minute counts toward the life you want to build. Imagine the progress you'd make if you spent just 60 minutes a day focused on your personal growth. In this video, I'm going to show you how this simple daily commitment can turn your goals into reality, push you past your limits, and help you become the best version of yourself. Stay with me, and let's unlock the power of 1 hour a day. Number 1, wake up early and build discipline through quiet focus. Most people don't realize how much of their life they're giving away before the sun even rises. They wake up at the last possible minute, rush through their morning, and wonder why they feel behind before the day even begins. But 1 hour, just 1 hour of quiet focus in the early morning can change everything. Not because the world changes, but because you change. That first hour can become the most important hour of your entire day, and most people never even claim it. That's where your advantage is. That's where your edge is. In a world full of noise and distraction, the person who can sit still, focus, and build discipline in silence will always rise above the rest. Waking up early isn't just about time, it's about control. You take back control of your time, your mind, and your energy. You don't leave it to the outside world to decide how your day will go. You decide, you build a moment of quiet where the rest of the world hasn't yet reached you. That 1 hour, before everyone else is demanding your attention, gives you space to become the person you're trying to be. Most people say they don't have time. What they really mean is they don't have priorities. But the truth is, you make time for what matters. And if your growth doesn't matter to you, nothing else in your life will improve for long. It doesn't take 10 hours a day. You don't need a week off. You don't need to be perfect. You need 1 powerful hour, consistently. You wake up early, not because it's comfortable, but because it builds something inside you. Every time you push yourself to rise before comfort would let you, you're telling your mind that you are in charge. Not your mood, not your feelings, not your excuses. You create mental toughness by facing the part of you that wants to sleep in, and you say no. That's discipline. That's where real power begins. You might not notice the change on day 1. You might not feel different after a week. But keep going. Keep waking up when it's hard. Keep showing up to that 1 hour like it's an appointment with your future. Because it is. That hour you use to read, to reflect, to plan, to move your body, to silence your thoughts. That's where you're slowly separating yourself from everyone who only moves when life forces them to. You're choosing to move before you have to. That's called leadership. That's called ownership. And it starts in that 1 hour. Now ask yourself, what do you do in the first hour of your day? Are you reacting, or are you creating? Are you thinking, or are you running on autopilot? Are you rushing, or are you preparing? Most people wake up late and spend the rest of the day catching up. But when you wake up early, you're ahead. You're not chasing the day. You're leading it. If you spend that hour checking your phone, you're handing over your mind before it's even clear. You're letting the world tell you what to think before you've even told yourself who you are today. Instead, sit still. No noise, no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. Just you and your goals. Just you and your discipline. That's the space where strong minds are built. Not in chaos, in clarity. You don't need a fancy routine. You don't need the perfect program. You just need to claim that 1 hour like it matters more than anything else, because it does. You could spend that hour reading something that sharpens your mind. You could write down your goals and remind yourself why they matter. You could stretch, breathe, exercise, or just sit in silence and ask yourself hard questions. That's the hour where you stop pretending, where you stop escaping, and where you face yourself. And that's what most people are afraid to do. But if you want real change, you have to get honest with yourself in silence. You have to stop distracting yourself and start disciplining yourself. It's not going to feel good every day. There are going to be days when you want to sleep in, when your motivation is gone, when your energy is low. Those are the days that count the most, because when you show up on those days, You're not running on emotion anymore. You're running on commitment. 1 hour. That's it. That's all it takes to separate yourself from the crowd. Because most people are still sleeping. Most people are still snoozing alarms. Most people are still waiting for permission to start. You don't wait, you get up, you show up. You build the habit of showing up, even when you don't feel like it. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you powerful. Every success story is built on small, consistent wins that most people never see. That 1 hour is your secret weapon. It's where you practice being the kind of person who does what needs to be done without needing applause or permission. The world doesn't reward people who wait to feel ready. The world rewards people who train themselves to act with discipline when no one is watching. Your life will not change all at once. But if you stack up 1 powerful hour every single day, your mind will change. Your body will change. Your priorities will change. And most importantly, your identity will change. You will stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and fails and starts over. You'll start seeing yourself as someone who keeps promises to yourself. That's what self-respect looks like. And it starts before sunrise. The truth is, you don't need more time. You need more direction. You need more structure. You need more control over your thoughts and choices. And you get that when you own the first hour of your day. If you give that hour to the world, you've already lost. But if you claim it for yourself, everything else starts to fall into place. You have the power to do it. You have the ability. But the question is, will you respect yourself enough to do it when it's not easy? That's what this hour is really about. It's not just about routines and productivity. It's about building a relationship with yourself where you can trust your own word. That's how confidence is built. That's how clarity is developed. That's how strength is formed. You are not weak. You are not lazy. You're just distracted. And 1 focused hour can fix that. 1 quiet hour can reconnect you with your real self. But you have to take it seriously. You have to treat that hour like it's sacred. No phone, no TV, no scrolling, just real effort, just honest time with yourself, just action. Because if you can win that first hour, the rest of the day feels lighter. You walk into your day with strength in your chest and calm in your mind. You don't react to everything around you. You respond with purpose. You lead yourself first. And when you lead yourself well, you become someone others respect and trust. Not because of how loud you are, but because of how consistent you are. 1 hour, every day. That's how it starts. That's how it changes. That's how you take control of your life. Not by talking about it, by doing it, quietly, strongly, repeatedly, until there's no part of you that doubts what you're capable of. And that's when life starts moving in your favor. Number 2. Read daily and train your mind to grow stronger. Most people are feeding their body every day, but starving their mind. That's the real reason why so many feel stuck, confused, or unmotivated. It's not that they aren't capable. It's that they stopped learning. They stopped feeding their mind what it needs to grow, to strengthen, to lead. 1 hour of reading every day can change the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you live. If you want a stronger mind, you need stronger input. You can't think clearly if you're constantly absorbing noise. But when you read with purpose every day, you take back control of your thoughts and shape your mind into something powerful. You don't become mentally strong by accident. You build strength by exposing your mind to better ideas, better strategies, better examples. When you read, you don't just learn facts. You train your mind to focus, to sit still, to absorb knowledge instead of wasting attention on distractions. That's a skill that most people have lost. Most people can't sit still without grabbing their phone. Most people can't read 1 page without checking something else. That's a weakness. And it's a weakness you can train out of yourself through consistent reading. The mind needs exercise just like the body, and reading is how you do it. When you read daily, your mind starts to stretch. You see things from a different angle. You challenge your old beliefs. You learn what works and what doesn't. That's how personal growth begins. Not in big dramatic moments, but in the quiet decision to keep learning, even when you don't feel like it. Every page you read becomes a building block for your future self. Reading daily isn't about information overload. It's not about cramming your mind with trivia. It's about feeding your focus with thoughts that elevate your thinking. It's about filling your head with solutions instead of complaints. And more than that, it's about building a habit of learning so strong that it becomes who you are. Not just something you do once in a while. The people who win long-term are the ones who never stop learning. They never settle for what they already know. They ask better questions. They search for better answers. They keep feeding the mind even when things are going well. You won't always feel motivated to read. That's where discipline comes in. You don't wait for inspiration. You decide that 1 hour of reading is non-negotiable. You make it a part of your day, just like eating or sleeping. No excuses, no negotiation. 1 hour of building your mind is 1 hour of separating yourself from the average. Because average people stop learning after school. They think they know enough. But high performers, leaders, and disciplined people keep sharpening their mind like it's a daily responsibility, because it is. Now you might say you don't have time, but the truth is, you do. You just haven't prioritized it yet. You have time to scroll. You have time to binge shows. You have time to talk about problems. But 1 hour of reading feels hard because it forces you to grow. It forces you to be alone with your thoughts. It forces you to reflect. And that's exactly why it matters. That's why it's powerful. Every time you choose to read, instead of distract yourself, you train your brain to focus. You train your brain to become more resilient. That mental sharpness carries over into every part of your life. Your decisions, your communication, your habits. If you feed your mind weak content, your thinking becomes weak. But if you feed it strong, well-written, useful knowledge, you become more capable in everything you do. Start with books that challenge you. Read biographies of people who've built something real. Study people who have overcome adversity. Learn about human behavior, money, purpose, leadership. Read things that sharpen your sense of direction. Don't just read to finish a book. Read to become stronger in your thinking. Read to think more clearly under pressure. Read to understand how to improve the way you live. That's the purpose. And the more you do it, the more you change from the inside out. You don't need anyone to tell you what to think, because you've trained your mind to do it yourself. You don't panic when problems come because you've studied how to respond. You don't rely on motivation because you've replaced it with structure. That's the benefit of reading with consistency. It doesn't just change what you know, it changes how you show up in the world. And it's not about speed. It's not about reading 10 books in a month. It's about staying with one book long enough to absorb its lessons and apply them. Application is everything. Reading without action is just entertainment. But when you read something and use it to make a better choice, that's growth. That's development. That's maturity. That's how you level up in real life, not just in your head. Your confidence grows when your knowledge grows. When you know more, you hesitate less. You speak with more clarity. You move with more certainty. You stop guessing. You stop doubting. You start acting with purpose. That's not arrogance. That's preparation. And reading is preparation. It prepares your mind for the unexpected. It prepares your mindset to stay strong when things go wrong. It gives you tools that most people don't have because they've stopped learning a long time ago. Your environment might not push you to read. Your friends might not care. Most people won't talk about growth. But you don't need permission to grow. You don't need to wait for support. This is your responsibility. No one's going to force you to read. You have to want it for yourself. You have to care enough about your future to say, this is worth 1 hour of my time every single day. The kind of person you want to be already exists inside you. But that version of you only comes out when you raise your mental standards. When you stop feeding your mind with junk and start feeding it with strength. When you stop escaping and start studying. That's when the real you starts to show. That's when the potential inside you starts to wake up. So don't ask what the best book is. Ask what knowledge you need most right now. Ask where your weaknesses are. Ask what problems you keep facing. And start reading the kind of material that helps you solve them. That's how you use reading as a weapon for growth. Not to impress anyone. Not to sound smart. But to build a version of yourself that's sharp, prepared, and unshakable. Reading is your edge. Most people aren't doing it. Most people gave up on learning when life got busy. But that's the difference. That's where you win. That's where you gain an advantage. You don't have to show off. because it shows up in your results, your behavior, your mindset. Quiet strength is built in those 1-hour sessions, where you read with focus, think deeply, and act on what you've learned. The truth is this: your outer life will only grow as much as your inner life grows. And the best way to build a strong inner life is to train your mind every day. Pick up the right book, read it with intention, apply what you've learned, and repeat it every day. That's how your life changes for good. Number 3, write down your goals and review them with honesty. Most people drift through life without ever sitting down to ask themselves what they truly want. They wake up, go through their routine, respond to whatever comes their way, and then repeat it all again tomorrow. That's not a plan. That's survival. And survival doesn't lead to fulfillment. You don't get the life you want by accident. You build it one clear goal at a time. If you want to change your life, you have to start by being brutally honest with yourself about what you want and where you are right now. Writing down your goals isn't just a habit. It's a declaration. It's a private contract between the version of you that exists today and the version you're trying to become. You can't improve what you never define. You can't grow if you don't know what direction you're moving in. That's why writing your goals down matters. It pulls your desires out of your head and puts them in front of your eyes. It makes them real. It forces you to look at them instead of just thinking about them once in a while. It makes you accountable to yourself. When you write down your goals, you're not just wishing anymore. You're creating structure. You're saying, this matters enough for me to see it in black and white every day. And that's where most people go wrong. They keep their dreams vague. They say things like, I just want to be successful, or I want to be happier. But those are empty words without specifics. What does success look like for you? What exactly would make you feel fulfilled? What kind of work? What kind of relationships? What kind of body? What kind of income? You can't hit a target you don't define. General goals lead to general results. Clear goals create focus, urgency, and responsibility. So every day you take out your notebook and you write, not for the world, not for applause, for you, for your own clarity, for your own mental strength. You write down exactly what you want and why it matters. You write the goal, you write the reason, you write what you're going to do about it. That's where discipline begins, in that quiet moment where you choose to live on purpose instead of reacting to everything around you. And don't sugarcoat anything. If you're behind, admit it. If you've wasted time, face it. There's no progress without truth. Reviewing your goals daily forces you to stop lying to yourself. This is not about chasing perfection. It's about measuring progress with honesty. Some days you'll be ahead. Other days you'll slip. But if you review your goals every day, you'll never lose sight of what matters. You won't wander off track for long. You'll correct yourself faster. You'll start noticing patterns. You'll begin to understand where your time is going and what habits are helping you move forward or holding you back. Writing your goals down is also how you stay emotionally connected to them. Life gets noisy. People try to pull you in different directions. You'll have days when your motivation feels low. But when you've written it down, when you've seen it in your own handwriting, when you've reminded yourself every single day why it matters, it's harder to quit. That written reminder becomes your anchor. It keeps you grounded when the world is trying to distract you. People who don't write their goals live by chance. They wake up hoping something good happens. But people who write and review their goals daily, they live by intention. They wake up knowing what needs to be done. They don't wait around. They don't waste energy second guessing. They take action because their vision is clear and their plan is visible. If you really want to grow, don't just write goals that sound good. Write goals that make you stretch. Write goals that make you uncomfortable. And then review them with complete honesty. Ask yourself, am I actually working toward this? Or am I just writing it to feel better? Am I making real progress or just keeping myself busy with distractions? The quality of your results will always match the quality of your self-honesty. You don't need perfect goals to start. You need goals that matter to you. Goals that hit you in the chest. Goals that mean something deeper than just impressing people. This is about building a life that aligns with who you really are, not what other people expect. And that clarity only comes from writing it out, seeing it daily, and adjusting it as you grow. Life will test your focus. You'll be tempted to change your goals every time something gets hard. You'll want to quit when results don't come fast. But if you've built the habit of reviewing your goals every day, you'll stay the course. You'll see the bigger picture even on the hard days. You'll remind yourself what's at stake. That's why this practice matters. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it works. And it works because it keeps your vision alive. Now, some people will say they don't need to write anything down, that it's all in their head, but that's not enough. What stays in your head is easy to forget. It's easy to ignore. It's easy to distort. But what you put on paper becomes real. It forces you to commit. It forces you to face yourself. And that's how real change begins. Not with talk, but with clarity and action. Your future depends on the goals you set and the effort you give to them daily. Writing your goals isn't a waste of time. It's the smartest investment you can make in yourself. Because when you write your goals, you organize your mind. When you review them, you remind yourself of your purpose. And when you act on them, you prove to yourself that you're serious. This isn't about motivation. Motivation fades. This is about building a mental routine that grounds you, something you return to every morning, no matter what's going on around you. 1 hour a day to sit with your goals, adjust your direction, and remind yourself who you said you were going to be. If you do that every single day, your results won't be random anymore. They'll be earned, and you'll know exactly why you're getting them, because you took full responsibility for your path. So start today. Don't wait until life slows down. Don't wait for the perfect plan. Get a notebook. Write down exactly what you want. Be honest. Be specific. Review it every morning before you face the day. Ask yourself where you stand. Then take action. 1 step forward, 1 habit improved, 1 distraction removed. Do that for 30 days, then 60, then a year. You'll look back and realize something powerful. Your life didn't change all at once. It changed because you took 1 quiet hour each day to aim with intention, and you never stopped. Number 4, work on your dream without waiting for motivation. You don't need to feel ready to begin working on your dream. That's the truth. You don't need a perfect mood. You don't need the stars to align. You don't need energy running through your veins. You need one thing: your decision. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. It's unreliable. But discipline is your power. Discipline means you show up anyway. Discipline means you put in the work, even when your mind is dragging and your heart feels unsure. It means your dream is non-negotiable. Too many people wait to feel inspired. They wait for the right moment. They wait until they feel excited again. That wait becomes days, weeks, months, sometimes even years. And all that time their dream is sitting on the shelf collecting dust while life moves forward. You can't live like that. You don't get time back. Every single day you don't move forward is a day you gave away. The work doesn't care about your feelings. The progress doesn't happen just because you want it. It happens because you act on it. You must learn to work without a spark. You must build the habit of showing up, no matter how it feels. This is where most people fall off. They expect to be hyped every day, but hype fades. Discipline builds. When you train yourself to show up, even when you're tired or distracted or doubtful, you develop strength, real strength, mental strength. That kind of strength doesn't vanish when your mood shifts. It's steady, it's reliable, and it's what separates those who build something from those who just dream about it. Your dream will never grow if you only feed it with emotion. It grows when you feed it with action, and that action needs to be daily. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real, consistent, intentional. You chip away at it every single day, even if it's just 1 hour, even if it's just 1 page, 1 phone call, 1 email, 1 uncomfortable task. That's how dreams become reality, through ordinary effort done repeatedly. You are not weak just because you don't feel motivated. You are not broken. You are human. No one is excited all the time. The best performers in any field have something better than excitement. They have a system. They have habits. They have structure. That's what keeps them going when everything inside them says slow down or stop. You don't need to force yourself to feel good. You need to decide that your commitment matters more than your comfort. When you wake up in the morning and your mind says, "Not today," that's when your decision becomes real. That's the moment where growth starts. That's the moment most people give in. But not you. You take the step anyway. You sit down and you begin, even if it's quiet, even if it's slow, even if it feels like a struggle. You build yourself through that effort. You prove to yourself that you don't quit just because you don't feel like it. There is nothing magical about the people who succeed. They just refuse to let temporary emotion decide their long-term outcome. They knew how to show up on the boring days, on the difficult days, on the days when no one was clapping for them. You need to become that kind of person. The one who doesn't ask, "Do I feel like it?" The one who says, "This is who I am now." That shift in identity is everything. Because once your dream becomes part of who you are, you stop negotiating with your comfort. You stop needing reminders. You stop chasing motivation videos. You stop looking for something outside to light a fire inside. Because now, you've taken control. You've made working on your dream a non-negotiable. And that's when the breakthrough happens. Not when everything is perfect. Not when it's easy. But when it's hard and you show up anyway. There will always be something trying to distract you. Something easier to do. Something more comfortable. But none of that gives you the life you want. What gives you the life you want is what you do when no one is watching, when no one is pushing you, when it's just you and the work and your decision to keep going. The truth is, your dream will demand effort before it gives you results. You will have to give energy when it feels like you have none left. You will have to keep going long before the rewards show up. That's the test. That's how the world finds out how serious you are. Are you in love with the idea of the dream? Or are you willing to fight for it when no one's cheering you on? You can either work while you wait for motivation, or you can lose days chasing a feeling that doesn't always show up. Motivation is nice when it comes, but it's not a strategy. You can't build a life on mood swings. You build a life on decisions. You build it through routine. You build it by saying, "I work no matter what," and then following through again and again. If you show up every day and give your best effort, even when your mind is quiet, and your energy is low, you are building a foundation stronger than any burst of inspiration. You are becoming the kind of person that your dream needs. Someone consistent, someone focused, someone reliable. You become your own motivation. And here's what's powerful. Once you do this long enough, the results start to speak for themselves. You start noticing small wins. You start feeling proud of your effort. You look back and realize how far you've come. And it had nothing to do with feeling hyped. It had everything to do with showing up. Your confidence grows from keeping your promises to yourself. That's what matters. Not how loud you are, not how excited you sound, but how consistent you are behind closed doors. If you want to change your life, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the fire. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Just begin. Pick up the work and give what you have. Not once, every single day, 1 hour a day. That's all you need. 1 honest hour of focused work. 1 block of time where you don't negotiate with your doubts, where you don't check out, where you don't scroll or run, where you sit down and do what needs to be done. That's how people change their lives. Not by waiting, but by deciding. Today is that day. Number 5, reflect on your choices and correct your weak habits. You will never take control of your life until you face the habits that are quietly stealing your time, energy, and potential. You can't keep moving forward without stopping to look back. You need to sit with yourself and ask hard questions. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary. Every day you make hundreds of small choices, and those choices are shaping your future. You either build strength or you feed weakness. You either move closer to your goals or away from them. There is no neutral ground. The way you live your day becomes the way you live your life. So you must slow down and reflect on the path you're walking. You're not stuck because of one big failure. You're stuck because of small daily decisions that you haven't questioned. The ones that feel normal but keep you limited. The ones you justify even when they cost you. The ones you tell yourself don't matter, but deep down you know they do. That's where your life starts to change. Not by doing more, but by doing better, by identifying the weak patterns and correcting them with discipline. You must look at how you start your morning. Is it with intention or distraction? Do you jump into chaos or do you take charge? How you begin your day matters more than you think. It sets the tone, it creates momentum, or steals it. And the scary part is, you might not even notice it happening. That's why you need reflection. Not once a year, every single day. To sit still and ask yourself, am I proud of my actions today? Am I choosing what strengthens me or what drains me? Weak habits often wear a mask. They show up as comfort, entertainment, convenience, but underneath they rob you of clarity, progress, and peace. That scroll through your phone that turns into an hour. That snack you didn't need but gave into anyway. That task you avoided because it made you uncomfortable. These moments seem small, but over time they define your direction. And if you're not reviewing your life, you're repeating it. You need brutal honesty with yourself. Not shame, not guilt, just raw clarity. The kind of clarity that makes you uncomfortable enough to change. The kind of truth that forces you to ask, is this choice aligned with who I want to be? Because if it's not, it needs to go. Not tomorrow, now. Every weak habit you allow becomes a vote against the life you want. Every strong decision you repeat becomes a step closer to your vision. You don't need to fix everything overnight. That's not the goal. The goal is to become someone who pays attention. Someone who is aware. Someone who catches themselves before slipping. Someone who reflects without excuses. That alone will set you apart from most people. Because most people don't look inward. They blame, avoid, or distract themselves. But if you're serious about growth, you don't get to do that anymore. You must take full ownership. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being accountable. It's about developing the emotional strength to admit when you're off track and having the courage to get back on it. You don't beat yourself up for your weak habits. You replace them with better ones. You don't ignore the damage they cause. You correct the behavior and commit to doing better next time. That's how real progress happens. Not through loud declarations, but through silent corrections made consistently. It takes courage to face the truth about your choices. But there's power in that truth. Because once you see the problem, you can fix it. Once you know where you're slipping, you can stand stronger. Weak habits lose their grip when you shine light on them. But if you ignore them, they grow, and eventually, they take over. That's why reflection is not a luxury. It's a necessity. A tool to catch yourself in time before you slide too far. Every night, ask yourself what you did with your time. Were you focused or distracted? Did you create or consume? Did you follow through or back down? And if the answers are hard to face, good. That means you're waking up. That means you're done lying to yourself. You can't change what you won't confront. You can't grow while protecting bad patterns. You must decide what kind of life you're willing to fight for. Write your choices down, if you have to. Track your decisions. Build awareness like a muscle. The more honest you are, the stronger you get. Not in a loud or flashy way, but in the quiet confidence that comes from discipline. People notice when someone is aligned. You walk differently. You speak with certainty. You no longer apologize for aiming higher. You no longer tolerate the patterns that once kept you average. And when you make a mistake, and you will use it as fuel. Don't waste energy on guilt. Use it to understand why you slipped and how to do better. That's what strong people do. They don't act like they're perfect. They take responsibility. They look in the mirror without filters, and then they fix what needs fixing. Not because they're broken, but because they believe they can be better. And that belief becomes a force. Change is not found in comfort. It's found in reflection. It's found in those quiet moments when you face the reality of your behavior and make a new choice. That's how you grow. That's how you win. Not by pretending, not by waiting, but by reviewing your life and adjusting fast. Your progress depends on your ability to confront yourself, to ask the uncomfortable questions, to see your weak spots and not run from them, to catch the patterns that hold you back and replace them with habits that move you forward. Every strong life is built by someone who got tired of being inconsistent. Someone who got honest. Someone who refused to stay the same. You already know which habits are costing you. You already feel where you're slipping. Now you need to act on it. You need to review your day every day and ask, did I lead myself today, or did I follow my impulses? Because that answer tells you everything you need to know. Change isn't complicated. It's difficult. Yes, but not complicated. You see where you're weak, you commit to improving, you stay consistent, and you don't lie to yourself along the way. That's how you rebuild your character. That's how you regain control. That's how you move from surviving to building a life worth living. And it all starts with reflection. Quiet, daily, honest reflection. You correct weak habits not with emotion, but with awareness and action. One choice at a time, one day at a time, until the results speak so loud you no longer need to explain yourself. Number 6, exercise. Hard to build mental and physical toughness. Pain doesn't mean stop. It means you're building power. There's something you gain from pushing your body that no book can teach and no speech can hand you. When you exercise hard, you're not just training your muscles, you're forging a mindset that doesn't crack when life hits. You start to realize that pain doesn't always mean danger. Sometimes it means growth. The truth is, we live in a time where everything around you is trying to make things easier. Shortcuts, hacks, comfort at every turn. But the more you run from discomfort, the weaker you become. If you want to grow stronger mentally, you have to do something hard every day. Something that challenges your limits. Something that humbles you and forces you to keep showing up. You don't need a gym membership to start. You don't need perfect gear or the right playlist. What you need is the decision to move with intensity, to breathe harder, to sweat on purpose, to push past the moment your body says, stop, because your body is built to survive, not to thrive. It will tell you to stop long before you actually reach your limit. But your mind, your disciplined mind, that's where the real strength is created. Discipline begins when it's uncomfortable. That's the moment most people stop. But that's the exact moment when you keep going. You don't listen to your excuses. You train your body to follow your commitment, not your emotions. And when you do that enough times, your confidence starts to grow. Not because someone said you're strong, but because you know it. You felt the shaking legs, the burning lungs, the pounding heart, and you kept going. That's what builds real toughness. Not talk, action. You'll never regret a hard workout, but you will regret the ones you skipped. Because every time you avoid discomfort, you teach your mind to stay soft. You tell yourself that quitting is acceptable, and soon that behavior leaks into everything else in your life. You start pulling back when work gets hard. You stop showing up when relationships require effort. You begin to avoid any situation that demands more than average, and you don't even realize it's happening. But when you push yourself physically, you sharpen your thinking, you take control of your emotions. You learn to stay calm under pressure. That toughness doesn't stay in the gym. It shows up in how you speak, how you act, how you face problems. When others panic, you stay grounded. When others give up, you dig deeper. And that kind of strength is rare today. That kind of strength makes you unstoppable. You can't wait for motivation. That's not how toughness is built. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you'll feel ready. Most days you won't. And those are the days that count the most. That's where champions are made. In the quiet decision to show up and do the work when no one is watching. When no one is cheering. When it's just you versus the resistance. You either rise or you give in. You either get tougher or you stay the same. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone. You just need to be honest. Did you push yourself today? Did you demand more from your body than you did yesterday? Did you suffer on purpose to grow stronger? Because that's how you build a mindset that doesn't fold under pressure. You teach yourself how to keep going when it's hard. You make it normal to do difficult things. And over time, that becomes your edge in life. You start to crave that challenge. Not because you enjoy pain, but because you enjoy who you become through it. You feel sharper, more focused, more grounded. You don't waste time. You don't complain. You handle stress better. Your tolerance for discomfort grows. And when life throws something real at you, a loss, a setback, a challenge, you face it with grit instead of panic, because you've been training for it every day. Not just physically, but mentally. Your body becomes a mirror of your habits. And when your habits are strong, you carry yourself with pride. You don't need to talk about discipline. People feel it. You move with intent. You carry a presence that can't be faked. And it all comes from showing up and doing the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. It's not about being the best. It's about refusing to quit. Every time you finish a tough workout, You're proving to yourself that you can do what's difficult, and that proof compounds. It builds a track record inside your mind, a voice that says, I've handled this before, I can handle it again. That voice becomes your strength on the days when everything feels like it's falling apart. It becomes the reason you don't break when others do. You don't have to overthink it. You just need to start. Pick a challenge that pushes you. Maybe it's running farther than you've ever run, lifting heavier, training longer, pushing faster. Whatever it is, go into it with full effort. Don't save energy. Don't look for the easy way out. Do it with intensity. Give it your best. And when it gets hard, and it will, push even harder. That's where the growth lives. Right past the point where most people stop. You'll feel it. That deep burn. That voice in your head begging you to quit. That's your edge. That's the battle you came for. Win it. Because when you win it once, you can win it again. And when you start stacking those wins, day after day, you start transforming into someone unrecognizable, someone stronger, someone more focused, someone who doesn't fold under pressure. This toughness isn't gifted, it's earned. Through sweat, through pain, through repetition. You carve it into your character, and that character shapes everything you do. You become someone who doesn't avoid life. You face it. You stop making excuses. You stop hiding. You stop blaming. You realize that most of what's in your way isn't the world, it's your own weakness. And every time you train, you take another piece of that weakness and replace it with strength. Your energy changes. Your habits get tighter. Your thinking gets clearer. You stop entertaining negativity. You stop wasting time with drama. You stop being shaken by small problems. Because you've built something stronger inside. And that strength makes everything else in life easier to carry. This isn't about fitness. It's about control. About developing a level of self-respect that refuses to let you stay soft. About proving to yourself that you can endure more than you thought. That you don't back down. That you don't need permission to push harder. You wake up and you earn it. Every day. So stop waiting. Start training. Not for looks, not for praise, but for the mental edge. For the discipline. For the pride that comes from knowing you're stronger than your excuses. Do it for the days when life gets hard. Because it will. And when it does, you'll be ready. Not because you hope to be, but because you built yourself for it. One hard workout at a time. Number 7. Learn one new skill and apply it with intent. You are one new skill away from changing the direction of your entire life. When you take time each day to learn something useful and apply it with purpose, you're no longer just moving through life, you're building it. Every time you decide to learn, you're separating yourself from the crowd. Because most people are stuck. They're waiting for something to happen instead of becoming the kind of person who makes things happen. But if you take just 1 hour a day to build a skill that matters, you change who you are. You stop being someone who watches others win and start becoming someone who creates their own wins. You don't need to master everything overnight. You just need to start. You can learn to speak more clearly. You can study how to invest. You can pick up coding, writing, design, leadership, negotiation, marketing, sales, strategy, skills that build value. Not just value in the market, but value in how you feel about yourself. Because when you learn something and apply it with purpose, your self-respect grows. You look in the mirror and see someone improving, someone moving forward, someone building their life one brick at a time. Learning only becomes powerful when you take action. Knowledge sitting in your head without being used is wasted. But when you apply what you learn, you unlock new opportunities. You start seeing results. You get feedback. You adjust. You grow sharper. You build a deeper understanding of how life works and how to win in it. A person who learns and applies becomes dangerous in the best way because they don't need to wait for permission. They create options for themselves. If you're not learning, you're falling behind. The world keeps moving. Technology evolves. Industries change. People advance. The difference between staying stuck and rising up is skill. Skill makes you valuable. Skill gives you freedom. Skill gives you control. And control over your future is everything. Because when you know something valuable and can do it well, you're not depending on luck. You're not hoping. You're building. You're shaping, you're creating your way forward. Don't wait until you feel like learning. Your future doesn't care about your mood. It cares about your habits. And if your habit is to improve daily, you'll always have the edge. Not because you're better than others, but because you decided not to stay the same. And that decision, made every day, adds up. Soon you're not just better, you're irreplaceable. Not because you talked about improving, but because you did it when it was hard, when it was boring, when no one clapped for you. This is not about perfection. It's about direction. Each day you pick one skill. You focus, you study, you practice, then you apply. Even if it's just a small task. The habit of action is more powerful than passive learning. Watching videos, reading books, taking notes, they help. But they only change your life if you use them. So every time you learn something, put it into practice immediately. Build the habit of execution, because nothing matters if you don't apply. You don't need to chase every skill. You just need to pick the ones that align with your goals. What kind of life do you want to live? What kind of problems do you want to solve? What value do you want to bring to the world? Then ask, what skill helps you do that better? Start there. Study the best. Break it down. Practice every day. And over time, what once looked hard becomes second nature. That's the power of focus. That's the reward of consistency. Most people dabble. They try something for a week, then stop. They move on to the next thing, never mastering anything. Don't be like that. Don't be casual with your growth. Be deliberate. Be consistent. Be relentless. If a skill matters to your future, you owe it your full attention. Show up for it daily. Track your progress. Celebrate the small wins. Stay committed, even when it's boring, especially when it's boring. Because repetition is where mastery is born. You'll notice something else along the way. As you get better at a skill, your belief in yourself grows. You stop second guessing. You speak with more clarity. You take on new challenges. You carry yourself differently. That confidence didn't come from a motivational quote. It came from proof. Proof that you're improving, that you can trust yourself to learn and do, that you're becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to be told what to do because you already know your path. You don't need to impress anyone. You're doing this for you. You're investing in the most important project of your life, yourself. Every skill you build is a tool. Tools give you leverage. Tools help you solve problems faster, handle pressure better, navigate situations with more control. You'll stop feeling lost because you're no longer helpless. You've got ability. You've got confidence. You've got something real to offer. The people who win in life are the ones who never stop learning. They stay sharp. They're always upgrading. They treat their mind like an asset, not a wastebasket for distraction. They don't just consume. They use what they consume. That's the difference. Don't read a book and forget it. Don't watch a lesson and ignore it. Read and implement. Watch and execute. Think and act. That's how you move from knowing to winning. And here's the truth. 1 hour a day is all it takes. One focused hour to study, to write, to build, to improve. If you commit to that, you'll start noticing changes in weeks. In months, you'll be ahead of where you've ever been. In a year, you won't recognize who you used to be. Not because time passed, but because you used that time with intent. You didn't scroll. You didn't drift. You directed your energy toward growth. When others waste time, you build value. When others relax, you refine. When others quit, you rise. And when the moment comes where skill matters, you'll be ready. You won't have to pretend. You'll have the experience. You'll have the mindset. You'll have the edge. Because you earned it. 1 hour at a time. So pick the skill. Study it. Practice it. Apply it. Do it again. Every day. 1 hour. No excuses. No delay. And watch your life start to shift. Not through luck. Not through chance. Through deliberate, focused, consistent action. That's how real change happens. That's how you take control. That's how you win. Number 8. Plan your day ahead and stop wasting your time. If you're not planning your day ahead, you're wasting your potential. Every moment you waste is a moment that you can never get back. And yet so many of us move through life without a clear plan, letting the day control us instead of us controlling the day. But the truth is simple. Without a plan, your time slips away like sand through your fingers. You can have the biggest dreams, the most powerful goals, but without intentional, deliberate action, They remain nothing but wishful thinking. Think about it. How often do you sit down at the end of the day and feel like you've accomplished less than you could have? Maybe you were busy all day, but what did you really achieve? Did you move closer to your goals, or did you simply respond to whatever came your way? When you don't have a plan, you're a passive observer of your own life. You react. You get distracted. You waste hours on things that don't matter. You let time slip away without even realizing it. But planning your day isn't just about making a to-do list. It's about making choices. It's about deciding what's most important and aligning your actions with those priorities. It's about setting the course for your day and taking control of the direction you want to go. If you don't plan ahead, you'll find yourself wasting time on distractions, running from task to task, but never making real progress. But when you plan, you become intentional about everything you do. Your actions are purposeful, focused, and in line with your long-term goals. The simple act of planning your day ahead, whether it's the night before or first thing in the morning, sets a powerful intention for what's to come. It helps you prioritize the tasks that matter most. It allows you to see clearly where your energy should go. When you sit down and think through your day before it even begins, you give yourself the gift of clarity. You create a roadmap for how the day will unfold. And that roadmap doesn't just guide you from task to task. It helps you stay focused on the big picture. So why do most people avoid planning? It feels like extra work, doesn't it? But it's actually the opposite. When you don't plan, you end up wasting far more time in the long run. You waste time figuring out what to do next, or you waste time starting tasks only to get distracted halfway through. The longer you wait to plan, the more chaos you invite into your day. But when you sit down and plan, you immediately take control. You eliminate the guesswork. You're not leaving things up to chance. You're deciding what happens next. And that's power. You don't need an elaborate plan. It doesn't need to be complicated or overwhelming. You don't need to overthink it. A simple plan can make all the difference. Start by identifying the most important things you need to do. What are the tasks that will move you closer to your goals? What are the things that must be done? Prioritize them. Once you know what needs to happen, break those tasks down into smaller, more manageable steps. What can you accomplish in the next hour? What can you finish before lunch? What must be done by the end of the day? The key is to break your day into chunks that feel achievable. When you're overwhelmed by a massive list of things to do, it's easy to freeze up and do nothing at all. But when you take it step by step, task by task, you remove the resistance. You give yourself clarity and purpose. You give yourself the momentum to keep going. But don't stop there. You also need to plan your downtime. Rest is just as important as work. If you don't make space for rest, you'll burn out. But if you plan for breaks, you allow your body and mind to recharge. You make sure you're working at your highest capacity when you need to be. A well-rested mind is far more productive than a tired, overworked one. As you plan your day, be honest with yourself about what you can truly accomplish. Don't overload your schedule with more than you can handle. It's better to finish a few key tasks well than to do a dozen things halfway. Quality over quantity. And remember, planning isn't just about cramming as much work into your day as possible. It's about being strategic. You want to focus on what truly matters, not just what feels urgent. One of the biggest obstacles to planning is the temptation to procrastinate. We think we'll do it later, or that we'll figure it out as we go. But that's a recipe for disaster. You can't rely on motivation to show up every day. It won't. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline that comes from planning. The more you plan your days, the more you create a habit of taking control. You condition yourself to show up, even when you don't feel like it. And when you do that consistently, you stop waiting for motivation to strike. You take action anyway. At the end of the day, reflect on what you've accomplished. Look at what worked and what didn't. Did you stick to your plan? Were there things that distracted you? Were there tasks you could have completed more efficiently? Reflection is where improvement happens. It's where you grow. You can't improve what you don't measure. And if you don't plan, you have nothing to measure. So take a few minutes at the end of each day to look back at what you did. Adjust your plan for tomorrow based on what you learned. And don't forget the power of saying no. When you plan your day, you're also deciding what not to do. Time is limited, and you don't have the luxury of saying yes to everything. You need to protect your time fiercely. If something doesn't serve your goals, doesn't move you forward, then don't waste time on it. That's one of the biggest advantages of planning. You get to make choices. You get to decide what matters, and everything else you leave behind. When you start planning your day ahead, you'll realize something important. It's not just about being productive. It's about creating a life that aligns with your values and your ambitions. Planning isn't just about checking off boxes on a to-do list. It's about living intentionally. It's about making every day count. When you plan ahead, you're not just setting yourself up for success today. You're setting yourself up for success in the long term. So take charge. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop letting distractions take over. Start planning. Start deciding how your day will unfold, and follow through with purpose. The only way to build a life you're proud of is to take control of your time, one day at a time. And that starts with planning ahead. Number 9, speak your truth and build confidence in silence. Your truth holds immense power, yet so many of us keep it locked away, afraid of what others will think or say. We are so often conditioned to speak in ways that conform to expectations, to dilute our voice so it fits into the narrow confines of social norms. But your truth is not meant to be hidden. It is the very essence of who you are and the foundation for building true confidence. When you start speaking your truth, when you begin to align your words with your inner convictions, you unlock a strength that can carry you through even the toughest of times. The world doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need empty words or shallow conversations. What it needs are people who speak with authenticity, whose words are a reflection of their beliefs and values. The problem is, we're so afraid of judgment, of rejection, that we hide behind silence, pretending to be someone we're not. We wear masks to please others, and in doing so, we deny ourselves the power that comes from true self-expression. The truth is, you cannot build lasting confidence by pretending to be something you're not. Confidence comes from the courage to show up as you are, to speak from a place of honesty and integrity, regardless of how others may respond. But here's the paradox. When you choose to speak your truth, you don't always have to say everything out loud. Confidence isn't about filling every silence with words or noise. Sometimes the most powerful statements are the ones we don't say at all. Confidence comes from within, from a quiet, unshakable belief in yourself that doesn't need external validation. It comes from the ability to stand firm in your beliefs, to act in alignment with your values, and to speak when the moment calls for it, but to remain silent when that silence holds more weight than words ever could. When you speak your truth, you may encounter resistance. People may question your decisions, challenge your ideas, or misunderstand your intentions. That's okay. In fact, it's part of the process. The truth is often uncomfortable for others to hear, especially when it challenges their beliefs or worldview. But when you remain grounded in your own truth, when you speak from a place of clarity and self-respect, you don't need to explain yourself or convince anyone. Your truth speaks for itself, and it's in this silence that your true confidence is built. The most confident people are often the ones who speak the least. They don't need to fill every space with chatter. They know that their actions speak louder than words. They understand that their presence, their energy, and the quiet conviction behind their choices are far more powerful than anything they could say. When you stop looking for validation from others, when you stop trying to please everyone around you, you begin to embrace the true essence of who you are. This is where confidence begins, not in the volume of your voice, but in the strength of your silence. Building confidence in silence doesn't mean you avoid confrontation or hide from difficult conversations. It means you approach those situations with a calm, measured response. You speak when it's necessary, and stay silent when it's wiser to do so. When you are comfortable in your own skin, when you have a solid understanding of who you are, you don't need to over-explain or defend yourself. You speak your truth, and you let your actions reinforce your words. Silence has power. It allows you to listen, to reflect, and to choose your words carefully. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, silence can be the most impactful response. It allows you to process your thoughts without rushing into a reaction. It enables you to gather your strength and speak only when you have something meaningful to contribute. People are drawn to those who speak with purpose, who take their time to carefully consider their words. The power of speaking your truth lies not in saying everything, but in knowing when and how to speak with intention. In fact, the more you embrace silence, the more confident you become. You learn that you don't need to fill the air with constant noise. You start to trust that your silence will command respect. When you speak, your words are weighted with the power of your convictions. They are not driven by the need to impress or gain approval, but by a deep-rooted understanding of who you are and what you stand for. And that, my friend, is where true confidence comes from. The truth, when spoken, has a ripple effect. It resonates with others in a way that words alone cannot. When you speak your truth from a place of integrity and authenticity, you set an example for others to follow. You create space for people to be themselves, to share their own truth without fear of judgment. It's in this mutual respect that confidence thrives, not just your own, but in others as well. When you have the courage to speak up and live authentically, you encourage others to do the same. However, you must understand that silence isn't just about withholding words. It's about knowing when your words carry weight and when they don't. Not every situation requires you to speak your truth out loud. Sometimes the most powerful way to build confidence is to act on your truth without saying a word. It's in your decisions, your actions, and the way you carry yourself that your truth is made known to the world. People will feel the energy you radiate, even if you say nothing at all. Confidence comes from consistency. When your actions align with your words, when you make choices based on your values, your truth becomes undeniable. Remember, speaking your truth isn't about being loud or aggressive. It's about being clear and consistent. It's about aligning your thoughts, words, and actions so that they reflect who you are, unapologetically. In this process, you will not only build confidence, but you will also attract people who appreciate and respect you for who you truly are. Your confidence doesn't need to be announced or celebrated. It is felt, seen, and recognized in the way you show up in the world. And often it's in the silence that your truth speaks the loudest. So speak your truth, not to impress, but to empower yourself. Build confidence, not by seeking approval, but by being unapologetically authentic. And remember, silence isn't emptiness. It's the foundation from which true confidence arises. It's in the stillness that your inner strength is forged. And in the quiet of your actions, the world will come to know your truth. Number 10, track your progress and stay brutally honest. Daily. You will never know how far you can go until you measure how far you've come. The truth is, most people live their lives on autopilot, simply moving through the motions, hoping that progress will somehow come on its own. But if you're serious about growth, whether it's personal, professional, or in any area of your life, you must hold yourself accountable. The only way to do that is by tracking your progress and staying brutally honest with yourself every single day. This is the secret that separates those who achieve their goals from those who simply dream about them. At the end of the day, progress doesn't just happen. It requires constant effort and a consistent approach. It requires a mindset shift from "I'll get to it eventually" to "I am tracking my progress daily and I will relentlessly improve." Tracking your progress is not a one-time thing. It's a daily commitment to keeping your growth visible and measurable. Whether it's a journal, an app, or a simple checklist, the act of logging your progress forces you to confront where you're succeeding and where you're falling short. Most people shy away from this, avoiding the uncomfortable truth of where they're slipping. But here's the key. The only way to improve is by being brutally honest about your current reality. The power of tracking is not in what it reveals about your success, but in what it uncovers about your failures. It's easy to ignore your mistakes, to brush off your setbacks when they're not in front of you. But when you track them, when you see them in black and white, you are forced to face them head on. This is where growth begins. It's in those moments of brutal honesty that you make the necessary adjustments. You learn what's working, what's not, and what needs to be cut out completely. And that's when the real transformation happens. Honesty is a crucial element in this process. It's easy to lie to yourself, to make excuses for why you didn't follow through, or why things didn't go as planned. But deep down, you know the truth. And if you refuse to face it, you'll continue spinning in circles, never truly breaking through to the next level. Tracking your progress is about looking yourself in the mirror every day and asking, am I doing what I said I would do? Am I moving forward, or am I stuck in old habits? There is no room for half-truths or self-deception. You cannot expect real growth if you're unwilling to be real with yourself. The most successful people aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who embrace it, learn from it, and adjust accordingly. But this process doesn't happen by accident. It happens because they are brutally honest with themselves every day. They track their progress, identify their weaknesses, and take corrective action. This commitment to truth is what sets them apart. Tracking progress also serves as a constant reminder of the bigger picture. It's easy to get discouraged along the way, to feel like your efforts aren't making a difference. But when you look back at your daily logs, you'll see the incremental improvements that add up over time. You'll see the pattern of growth that's been unfolding, even if you couldn't see it in the moment. This is why consistency is so important. Small, steady steps forward every day will eventually lead to massive changes. But only if you track those steps, only if you're aware of them and acknowledge them. Daily honesty is also about keeping yourself in check. It's about not letting your own excuses derail you. If you're not tracking your progress, you can easily convince yourself that you're doing better than you actually are. It's easy to say, "I'll do it tomorrow," or "I'll catch up next week." But the truth is, tomorrow becomes another day of inaction, and next week never comes. When you track your progress, you eliminate the ability to hide from the truth. You are forced to face your shortcomings, your procrastination, and your distractions. And that's when change starts to happen. Think of your daily progress tracking as a mirror. It shows you exactly who you are in the moment, the good, the bad, and everything in between. It's not meant to make you feel ashamed, but to help you grow. By confronting your weaknesses, you are empowered to turn them into strengths. By acknowledging your shortcomings, you create the opportunity to change them. The more you track, the more you see the gaps between where you are and where you want to be. And that awareness is the first step toward closing those gaps. Now let's talk about the power of consistency in this process. You may not see drastic changes overnight, but when you consistently track your progress, you begin to notice subtle shifts. You start noticing patterns in your behavior, habits that either propel you forward or hold you back. This is why tracking daily is so critical. It gives you the insight to make necessary adjustments before things spiral out of control. You can course correct in real time, making small changes every day that lead to monumental results. Honesty is the catalyst for this entire process. Without it, tracking becomes pointless. If you're not willing to confront the truth, to admit where you've faltered, you'll never truly learn from your mistakes. And if you don't learn, you won't grow. It's that simple. Growth comes from the continuous cycle of reflection, adjustment, and improvement. And the key to all of that is brutal honesty. When you track your progress, you are also building a foundation of trust with yourself. You show yourself that you can be relied upon to tell the truth, to hold yourself accountable, and to make the necessary changes. This trust is what strengthens your resolve. It's what drives you to keep going when things get tough. It's what keeps you grounded and focused when you feel like quitting. And that trust is built, one honest moment at a time. So ask yourself, are you ready to face the truth of your journey? Are you willing to track your progress with ruthless honesty every day, no matter how uncomfortable it gets? Are you ready to confront your weaknesses, to make adjustments, and to move forward with confidence? If you are, then you are on the path to greatness. But it all starts with the commitment to be honest with yourself every single day. When you do that, you will start to see the changes you've been waiting for. You'll start to witness your progress in real time. And most importantly, you'll begin to trust yourself to follow through, to keep improving, and to reach your highest potential.